Greetings, all! Today, we'll be examining the uncommon Ghost-type Pokémon Greavard and its relatively rare evolution Houndstone, the two collectively known as the Ghost Dog Pokémon. Loyal to those they care for, and yet a potential scare to all that come across them, the members of the Greavard family are unique creatures that can more than prove to have a bite that's just as bad as their bark, if not worse.
Greavard have typical canine bodies, with 4 thick, 3-toed feet and short stubby legs, their entire body being covered in thick, grayish-purple hair that hides their eyes entirely. They further have a small tail, a large mouth with thick teeth-like projections, a small black nose, and a strange spiritual candle on the top of their head that burns with a bright purple-yellow flame. Their evolved form, Houndstone, have the same basic body form, but the body underneath their thick coat of grayish-white hair has turned skeletal, giving them a much more terrifying appearance. In addition, their craggy mouths and humped back are complemented by the presence of a large tombstone-like growth on the top of their head, giving them a chilling presence that few are willing to go near in the wild.
The members of the Greavard family are a somewhat unique case among Ghost-type Pokémon, because they tend to come back to life as ghosts of the very same type of creature they once were in life.
As such, it is said that these ghostly beings are the resurrected spirits of deceased dogs from the wild and from domestication that have arisen to live their lives again, and possibly for all of eternity. While they tend to prefer to stay buried in the ground, where they can rest and expend little energy, these creatures are extremely sensitive to sound, and will burst out of the ground the moment they detect footsteps near them, but this is not out of defense or a territorial attack. Rather, they are so docile in their tendencies that they are very eager to play with anything that comes their way, and thus will take any opportunity to have the sort of fun they had in life, or otherwise make up for what they couldn't do before death. This means that only the candle of Greavard and the tombstone of Houndstone are usually visible at the surface, and thus can be a bit tricky to spot if you don't know what you're looking for. Thankfully for most, this also means that these creatures will only become hostile if they really feel there's a need to be so, and can be easy to befriend and work with as a whole. Because of their behavior, these beasts tend to act like puppies at a young age, and are known to have a penchant for finding and bringing their masters friends and presents from afar, giving Greavard access to pick up as their only base ability, while their evolved form is able to make use of the smooth skeletal forms to resist the effects of harsh weather to a degree, and use dirt and sand as a lubricant, instead having access to Sand Rush as the only base ability. Either way, it is further possible for both these creatures to have thicker, more damage-absorbing hair in some cases, giving both access to Fluffy as a hidden ability. As far as the stats are concerned in the case of Houndstone, these creatures are not known for being all that fast, or having access to a great degree of stamina or special power, so the base HP, special attack, and speed stats are below average for a fully evolved Ghost-type Pokémon. Conversely though, they can pack quite a punch with the physical offenses, and the thick fur helps to keep their bodies protected against direct attack of any sort, thus giving them above average base attack, defense, and special defense stats for a fully evolved Pokémon of their type, and more than granting them a place in the teams of Ghost-type specialists. Greavard are noted for being quite energetic and enjoy playing around and doing whatever they can with others, as they hate to play alone, let alone be alone in general. While this might seem harmless at first, given that something as simple as a game of fetch can satisfy their needs, these poor dogs are a victim of their own powers in a lot of cases. These beasts have a candle of sorts embedded in their head that acts as the physical link between them and the world that the living occupy. When in the vicinity of this candle, the life force of anyone close to them will slowly be drained, making them tired and likely to fall unconscious just from a few minutes of activity with one of these ghosts. This is sad and unfortunate for these dogs, as they typically are unaware that they even drain the life force from those they care for or are playing with, only knowing what they did in life as canines. This can make them a bit of a hazard to work with initially, but given that they can still be trained and retain all that they knew when they were alive, getting them to obey and work with oneself is not that hard, and thus can be made into good pets as long as you can keep close contact with them minimal.
Houndstone share much in common with their pre-evolved form in terms of powers and behavior, and in turn can make for good fighters and pets, but there are a few notable differences between them that are worth mentioning here.
For one thing, the beasts prefer to stay buried in the daylight and only really ever like to be out at night, and as a consequence, their nocturnal lifestyle means they will only ever evolve from Greavard at night. Secondly, not only are these creatures incredibly friendly, but they are also incredibly loyal, and will live with their owners until the day they die if they don't outlast them, and even then, they will always be by their side in the spirit world. Thirdly, while their pre-evolved form doesn't mind getting petted a lot, Houndstone are notably cautious towards this at first, especially if someone touches the tombstone-like growth in their head, as it is sensitive to spiritual energy and can trigger a fight-or-flight response in them if touched by anyone. Lastly and most importantly, these beasts seem to possess an unusual connection to the spirit world that allows them to harness the power of those long gone to attack with as part of the Last Respects attack. While it is unknown why they have almost exclusive access to this attack, it is believed that it might be connected to the fact that they have chosen to remain in the form they had in life, a dog, instead of becoming something else when they die. While the attack itself isn't all that powerful at first, it quickly gains power for every teammate that has fallen in battle prior to the move being used, and this can quickly add up to make the attack incredibly damaging and more powerful perhaps than any other move known, thus granting these beasts a potent trump card that only normal-type Pokemon have any reason to feel safe around.
As much as many might fear these creatures for their appearances and spooky powers, I honestly find the members of this family to be utterly adorable and a genuine treat to be around if you need to pick me up after a long day. Greavard rarely mean any harm towards others with their powers and attacks and are fairly easygoing, even if a bit much to play with after a while. Keeping a safe distance from them while playing with them is usually the best that can be made to keep them happy, while also making sure they don't sap too much energy from you. Houndstone, though withered down to bones in the state, are no less energetic, and their massive size can make them a daunting beast to confront at first for anyone. Even so, they too are lovable beasts that can make for terrific companions despite their much lighter and more skeletal forms. But they should never be underestimated, as their last respect attack can make them a dire threat after a long battle, and gives them a competitive edge that can make them perfect for those needing both someone to spend their life and death with, and a guard to keep them safe in both instances.
While they might haunt those that fear the undead, the members of the Greavard family are nonetheless some of the most loyal fighters out there and will always stick with you to the end and beyond. The need for night to fall might make raising them a bit hard for some to handle, but it's a small inconvenience for the power they can wield as adults in their corporeal forms.
Just do yourself a favor and don't let them down or otherwise goad them into biting the hand that feeds them, or they might just lash out in confusion and ensure that you'll be going to the grave in more than just one piece.
Thank you for watching this video. It brings me great joy to be able to speak to you all in the world each and every time we meet like this, to explore the many different facets of both the world of Pokemon as we know it, and the world as we live it, through every adventure we have with Pokemon by our side. If you'd like to, please subscribe, ring the bell and all that jazz, to keep yourself updated on content uploads and other materials of the like. You can also follow me on Twitter if you'd like to know right away when something new is uploaded, and my written works, from which most of this is based on, can be found on DeviantArt. Links to both can be found in the description down below. Remember that the world of Pokemon is a place full of wonder and mystery, and you never know what to expect. So, stay vigilant, keep watch, and always be prepared for the unexpected. Until next time, trainers and friends of all sorts, have a wonderful time.